Welcome to Insanely Positive! Your oasis of joy when the world seems grey and full of grumpy faces. I'm Suzanne Freiherz. Thank you for joining me. I'll feed you buckets of joy to bring out your best self so you can live your best life.
Hello everyone! It is so great to be together again, and we will feed our positivity. Today we will talk about how to keep calm when things just don't go as planned. That happens. Being happy and positive is very valuable when everything is in a perfect flow. When you practice to appreciate what you have and celebrate your own and someone else's successes, it adds a special quality to your life. And that is what life is about, isn't it? Quality. But how can we stay positive when the day isn't this perfect flow? We all have these days, even the most positive humans among us. Something comes up out of the blue, messes with our plans and disrupts our flow. However, not every unplanned thing, not every challenge has to throw us off balance. So today I will share my strategies, how I stay calm or even find joy in situations that on the first glance seemed to be really annoying. This summer, I discovered taking baths. I was never a fan of taking baths, and now I am. And recently I had a particularly hard and chaotic day, and I was so looking forward to taking a relaxing bath. And I really needed some calm and peace. And the whole day I was looking forward to taking this bath in the evening. And then the evening came and I prepared my bath with oil and everything. And what happened was the exact moment I was about to dip my toes into the wonderful water, an alarm goes off. Okay, I checked everything just to make sure that nothing is on fire, and yay, nothing was. And then I discovered that the alarm came from my neighbor's house. And I saw all my neighbors gather in front of his house and they discussed the situation. And I overheard that luckily it's a false alarm and everything is okay. But my neighbor wasn't at home, so no one could stop the alarm. And then all the dogs in the neighborhood began to bark along with the alarm. So I knew this will go on for a little while. And so I took the bath anyway. And it was not the bath I had been longing for. I have to point out that it's rare that I have such a strong desire to have some peace and quiet. And exactly that day, exactly the moment I was about to relax, all hell breaks loose. In the bathtub, I became aware of the irony of the situation, and I was really amused. I thought that if this was a comedy, we would all have a good laugh. Imagine the scene. The protagonist has a really chaotic day, and then she wants to take a bath, and the exact moment she's about to dip her toes into the water, all hell breaks loose. It's hilarious. And thinking of that made me smile. And then I focused my attention on the fact that I was happy for my neighbor that he and his stuff and his house are safe. So that's something to be happy about. There was nothing on fire. There was no one in danger. And also, I was happy that I am surrounded by neighbors who take care of each other. So although my bath wasn't completely what I had hoped for, I still enjoyed it because I did the best I could and I used the strategies that I will be talking about. First of all, the first strategy I would like to talk about is logic. And the second strategy is empathy. Let's have a closer look at these two. Logic helps me to see what I can or can't change. And in the bath situation, I could not change the chaos around me. The voices, the alarm, the dogs. Okay, logic helps to see clearly. It helps to figure out what reaction is useful and what isn't. If I had reacted with anger, it would not have changed the situation. So being angry or annoyed usually doesn't cause an alarm to be silent. It would have been just this complete waste of energy. And also it would have been the complete opposite of what I was longing for, which was some peace and quiet. So logic helps to accept things we cannot change. And instead of being lost in an emotion and feeding an emotion like anger, for example, to the point where anger completely takes over and tells us what to think, what to do, we can look for a better way to deal with the situation. Also, I believe life is too valuable to spend a whole evening filled with anger. So logic is a great helper to think clearly and to neutralize negative emotions that are triggered by a situation that we can't change anyway. So far, so good. That's logic. But how do we get from being neutral and clear to a positive attitude? And that's very simple. We practice empathy. Empathy is extremely beautiful. In challenging situations, the difficulty usually arises from disappointed expectations, or in other words, our expectations and what is really going on. They don't go together. And that's why we are annoyed or angry or whatever. What we can do then is we decide to not focus on ourselves completely, but instead see the big picture. So in the bathtub, had I kept my focus completely on myself, I think anger would have started to rise and would have taken over the situation and spoiled my bath. What I did was I accepted that this bath is different from what I had hoped for. And I think this is important as well. Telling myself that everything is great when it isn't wouldn't be very helpful, and it wouldn't change the situation. See, that's the difference between positivity and positive thinking. I spoke about the difference in the very first episode called Construction on Site, Construct a Bridge, Not a Drama. And if you haven't heard it, I highly recommend that you listen to it, and then we can find out the difference between positive thinking and positivity. So sitting in the bathtub, being angry and applying positive thinking, telling myself, I'm so calm, I'm so calm, I'm so calm, wouldn't be very helpful. Instead, I notice that it's not what I wanted, and then I activate empathy. With empathy, we can change and transform the whole situation. How do we activate empathy? That is very simple. We change our point of view. We zoom out of our own world, our own expectations, our own emotions, and see the big picture. So what I did in the bathtub was, like I mentioned before, I was happy for my neighbor that it was a false alarm, that his stuff, he himself, everybody was safe. That is a big relief and made me feel very good. Plus, I was grateful that I am surrounded by people who really care about each other instead of looking away and minding their own business. So, another thing to be very happy about. And with this switch of perspective, my own expectations were just a tiny part of the whole thing, because joy about all the other things took over and made me happy. And that is what empathy can do. And now I would like to talk about another strategy that I mentioned in the bathtub situation, and that is humor. I often think of The Truman Show. This is a movie with Jim Carrey. For everyone who doesn't know it, I can highly recommend it. It's a comedy with some very deep and useful messages. So in this movie, Jim Carrey is Truman, and he is the star of a reality show. And his complete life, from baby onwards to adulthood, is a reality show, and he alone doesn't know. He thinks everything is real. And he lives in a big dome where his family and friends and everyone who lives in the city are actors and actresses, even his wife. And he is being watched by thousands of cameras all day and all night long. And then some things occur and he slowly realizes that something is wrong and he becomes suspicious. He usually does the same things every day and is very predictable, but then he begins to behave in an unpredictable way. And in one scene, he gets into the car and he wants to leave town. He never has, and of course, that can never happen because he would hit the wall of the dome sooner or later. So he drives along the road, and first the road is completely empty. But then the director sends lots of cars into the road and creates a traffic jam. So Truman turns around 180 degrees, drives off the other direction. And he does that so fast that the director can't react. And again, the road is empty. But then they manage to adjust to his behavior and they create a roadblock. And as he approaches the roadblock, he is so frustrated because everything is working against him. And he says, "What now?" That happens to us too, doesn't it? We want to do something. We make an effort. We fall. We get up. We try again. We don't give up. But things just don't work out. There is always another challenge that wants to stop us. And I think we all, you and me, we had this what now moment many times in our lives. When that happens to me, I think of this scene. And what I do is I act as if I was Truman, as if I was in the show. And I imagine that the producer throws challenges into my life, in my way, again and again and again. And I always say, what now? And I remind myself that Truman never gave up. I discovered that having a sense of humor, imagining to be part of this comedy, The Truman Show, even when things don't go according to plan, it just keeps my mind flexible and curious and playful. And that results in more creative ways to think. And I can find solutions much easier and faster. And also with humor, I believe it doesn't cause so much distress or pain every time we hit a wall. So these are the three strategies. The fourth we haven't mentioned yet. These are the three strategies: logic, empathy, and humor. They are highly valuable on their own, but also as a team. They help us to see what we can change, what we cannot change. They help us to zoom out of our own point of view and see the big picture. They help us to focus on the positive aspects, and then we can change what we can change. So I used all of them yesterday, more or less the whole day long, when I prepared this episode. Tom and I both had a day like this. Nothing worked out. There were 100 little things, but one of the bigger ones were Tom drove to the post office because we needed to send an urgent parcel, and for whatever reason, the post office closed 30 minutes earlier. So he drove there in vain, and we couldn't send the parcel. Meanwhile, I was at home and I was recording something for work, and the battery of the microphone died and I didn't notice, so I had to do the whole thing again. Then we cooked dinner and everything went wrong and was burned, and it wasn't even edible. So that is something that never happens because we both like to cook. We cook every day and we usually do a pretty good job. So it was really crazy. Whatever we touched went wrong. And in the evening, my wonderful Tom always prepares coffee for the morning. Neither of us is a morning person. And it's not that we're cranky or anything, but we just have a very deep sleep. And the noise of an alarm clock, well, let's just say it doesn't bother us much. So we found out that the smell of fresh coffee is what reliably wakes us up in the morning. And so in the evening, Tom always programs the machine, and when we get up, coffee is ready. So this morning, I got up, I went to the coffee machine, and I started my day with a laugh because I had used the pot yesterday to make some tea, and I completely forgot to take out the tea bag. So that was still in the pot. And Tom, who prepared the coffee the evening before, hadn't seen it either. So this morning we had coffee with a touch of rooibos, and that actually and weirdly tasted pretty good. So that's how off we were yesterday. But we made it through with humor and logic and empathy, and the fourth strategy that I will share next time. We made it through the day, and you know, the best thing on a day like this is the next day can only be better. So next time I will share another very powerful strategy, and I will talk more about how I use all these 4 strategies in my job. Today was more about private things, and next time it's about business. And I hope you will find a lot of ideas and inspiration to handle challenges in your job and focus on the positive when things just don't go as planned. I invite you to apply the 3 strategies that you already know. So that's logic, just to see what can you change, what can't you change. Then use empathy and or humor to create a positive change. Please have fun and please let me know how it works out for you. Also, just let me remind you that you are a super powerful being. And although you can't change everything, you can change a lot. You can create positive change in your life and in your surroundings just by practicing positivity in all the little things every day. Train yourself to change your perspective, to see the bigger picture, and you will be amazed how creative you are and that you will always find a way around or through challenges. And just together, let's take a moment and become aware what a great magical power it is to have the ability to empathize and to connect to other beings. To see the world with someone else's eyes. This is the power of a fantastic, magnificent, incredibly powerful being. And such a being is you. Please use your potential to create a world that is warmer, brighter, and welcomes and appreciates us all as we are. And next time you have a day like Tom and I had yesterday, where nothing goes as planned, think of Truman. Especially the ending is so inspirational when he is about to break free from this artificial world. He is on a sailing boat and the producer creates a huge storm and rough seas, and his boat is hit by lightning, and he is exhausted and he's thrown overboard and he nearly drowns and barely manages to climb back into the boat. And then he is in the boat and he is exhausted and he is desperate, but he doesn't give up. He screams into the storm. Is that the best you can do? And now think of that every time life is rough and you need to get up and try again. Think of that. Is that the best you can do? That's nothing. This will not stop me. Nothing will stop me. Now walk through your day with this energy, this spirit, this power. And think of me and Truman. Remember the 3 strategies. Next time, we will talk about a 4th strategy. And until then, have fun applying these strategies. Keep practicing. Keep your chin up like Truman, who managed to break free in the end. And remember, there is nothing that can stop you. Nothing. Thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to meet again next time. And meanwhile, why don't you check out my website, yuna.com, yuna.com. You can find the link in the show notes. I have something for you. You can find a luxury bath meditation story waiting for you. Next time you take a bath, switch me on and I will guide you through a very special meditation story where you can even choose whatever quality you need, you long for. Maybe it's empathy or humor or something else. And you can nurture this special quality and bring it into your life. And also we dissolve time and space. So it's going to be a lot of fun and very relaxing and very powerful. And this is a beautiful video, I think. Tom and I filmed this in Bali, and I just love the shots Tom took of this beautiful Japanese wooden bathtub. I think it's called ofuro. And the lovely frangipani and rose petals and oh, it was such a very relaxing shooting. Well, my job was to take a bath and look relaxed while Tom did all the work. But his effort was so worth it because it turned out so beautiful. Well, you'll see for yourself. I would very much appreciate your help to spread the news of this podcast. Please tell your friends and your family, and please, if you're on social media, share my posts and my stories, and maybe you even take time to rate my podcast or even write a review. That would be fantastic. Please remember you can subscribe to make sure that you never miss an episode, because when you subscribe, you will be notified when a new episode is online. Next time, we will continue with what we started today and further explore the strategies, and I will share examples how I use them in my job. If you're on Instagram, please make sure to follow Suzanne Freihertz. That's me. I post every day, almost every day. And I write about how I live positivity, and by liking and by commenting you can let me know what you like, what you want to hear of more. I also do this podcast auf Deutsch in German. Maybe you know someone who would be interested in hearing all this in Austrian German. And since we have been talking about the Truman Show a lot today, I think it's only appropriate to finish our session today with a quote, a very famous quote from Truman himself. Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'm sending you a big smile, and let positivity pervade your heart, your beautiful big heart, and all your thoughts and your whole fantastic you. And remember to create joy and bliss, shed the negative. The new normal is insanely positive.